Good morning, Sean here from Mountains Garage. It's November 3rd, election day, and I've actually turned on my fans and heat. It was down to 45 in here. I only heat it to 50. That feels plenty warm enough to work. I prefer to have the shop coat on anyway. A lot of times 50 is too warm. It's been hovering around 48 in here for a couple weeks. Today I find I need to do some painting on the trunk of the Nova. So I figured I'd warm it up a little bit and just leave it on for the season. That little heater is coming up on, let's see, 2006, what, 14 years old? Still going. I've had to fix it once and they warranted the part. It's kind of smallish to heat this whole shop, but it only has to heat it till 50. It's not too bad on propane. It uses quite a bit, but I don't know really. I don't have anything to compare it to, so just gonna roll with it until it quits, and I'll buy a bigger one. Hope that's a long time in the future. Let's get to work. Step one, I sanded up the area where it looks like it got wet from wet sanding. Just kind of had just a glaze of, you know, that rusty brown stuff. It was never there before. It all looked like this. Just don't want it to come back, so I sanded and then Scotch-Brited and vacuumed and Scotch-Brited and vacuumed, and then cleaned it with acetone and went ahead and sprayed some primer on it. So I waited for that to dry. I put my decals in the trunk, my jacking instructions, and my positive traction decal. They have like $4.95 a piece, and I put them on as haphazardly crooked as probably the factory did. So while that's drying, I think I'll mess with the trunk weather seal. I'll dry fit it first before I get the glue out. We'll see how that goes. Okay, I laid it around the outside. It's kind of good to get it snaked around the trunk hinges first before you lay out the glue or the goo. The gap goes dead center in the rear. Now I'm just going to move it off to the side and spread out the liquid sunshine and hope for the best. This can get ugly in a hurry. It can go real easy. We'll see. Sometimes you just gotta go for it, which I did. And I got some tape holding it in place. It worked out pretty well. When I went to cut this off, because I had glue that had already contacted along there, and it slid down and smeared all around there, but I ran for the acetone and fixed it up. I cut it off with my big chompers. It turned out all right, as long as the glue dries and it stays there. Like I say, I'm glad I laid it out in place first, because holding on to the roll and trying to work it out would not have worked out. So the last time I did this, I think I was 16. It's been a while. But on to the next project. I bought a rubber bumper kit for all the bumpers all over the car. Installed the trunk lock, which is kind of a pain. I had already installed that. The car didn't come with one. So when I was not going to paint it, I went ahead and installed all that. And I think the rod that comes through the lock must have been long, and I cut it off afterwards, because putting it through at the correct length is kind of difficult. I don't remember it being hard before, but you know how that goes. That was a few years ago. Continuing around with the bag of bumpers, I did both sides doors, upper and lower. New hood bumpers, 4 of them total. And the biggest win of the morning is my bag of 200 thread cutting nuts actually fit nicely to hold the hood trim on. I'm not impressed with the emblem itself, because the studs aren't long enough, and these nuts came with it, and they just barely attach. And when you reach up to close the hood, where does your hand go? It's going to pull right on that, so gotta remember to pull the knob. Don't pull the emblem. Probably fall right off. More junk. It's only 60 bucks. I'm fortunate to have a couple buddies that work at the local auto supply place, and one of them scored me this real kind of cool, original looking battery. Close enough. At least it doesn't say, you know, the manufacturer all over it. I actually saw
Dodge Daytona a few years ago, beautifully restored under the hood with universal terminals, was a Walmart Superstat. It just didn't go, you know what I'm saying? So that's cool. I got a charge out of it.
And we're back. And it's Friday. I started this video on Tuesday. But I've been doing some transmission work, and it takes up a lot of time. But we're back on the trunk. When I last left it, I was waiting for a primer to dry. I got a little heavy-handed. It was some old primer. It was cold in here. And it took a long time to dry. Let me flip the camera around here. This is another situation where there's no way to do this wrong. But this is already 2 cans. I had to buy 3 more. I'm not even going to make it. See, the primer did finally dry. Now I got to mask off my light holes and stuff. And continue. I think stock it would have been blue aqua. This is gray white. I like it lighter. It matches some that was already up around the wheel wells. Back here it looked a little more like blue aqua. Who knows how many times it's been done. When I was a kid, this was pretty popular. Go down to the local auto parts store and get some trunk paint. But it's just after lunch on Friday, 11/6, and I got the door open at 62 degrees out. It's awesome. Get some free heat in here. I had the heat on earlier this week. Now we are back to having the doors open. Love it. That's 5 cans. 6 might be the magic number. I was more interested in just making sure my quarter panels match because this one was new over here. It comes out 2-tone, so trying to make it look even, it doesn't. It eventually lays down to kind of look like the wheel well. I'm going to call it good. That was 5 cans and about $50. It could use a little bit here and there. I might go with another can. I don't know. Put a mat in it. Done for now, I guess. Like all things in life, not perfect. When I first started shooting videos 9 to 10 months ago, I shot the whole video in one day because I wasn't good at piecing it together in the end to make a movie out of it, if you will. Now at least I've got the knowledge to let it stretch out a few days and go back and grab them and put them all together. So that's why this video started on Tuesday and here it is Friday afternoon. Funny story. I got all kinds of parts rolling in. I don't know what my next video is going to be yet, but when I installed the bumper, I did not have the black strip that goes between that and the body. And I had the old license plate light and the flip down plate bracket because the fuel filler's under the license plate. So I thought I'd just save those for the gray car and put new ones on this car. There's $20 for the plate bracket, flip down, and $15 for the light, so it's not a big deal. And the wire had been cut going to this plate light, and it actually connects in the trunk where I just painted, so I can piece all that back together. But I'm sitting there thinking, after I bought this, that my first car, my 70 Chevelle SS396, I bought around June of '82. Had to earn enough money to pay my parents back and get enough money to register it and buy insurance. So it was August before I got it on the road. It took me a couple months. It would have been August of '82 because my original plate had to be renewed in August of '83, sitting on a perfectly good license plate bracket. They do a good job redoing it. Now just staring at this is 15, 16-year-old Sean. I wasn't quite the fastener geek that I am now because I would have put a wash. Nowadays I would have had to have a washer under that, but I just found some nuts probably in a 5-gallon bucket that my dad or big brother had stuffed in the garage somewhere. I got one. It's a pet peeve of mine. You ride around and all the license plate screws these days are not made of stainless steel. They weren't back then either, but we used more road salt. Something has changed because you look at every plate, there'll be a drool of rust, especially if the screws are up here. This has got one rusty one and one that survived a little bit better, but I put these on as a teenager, excited to drive my first car. That's pretty cool. I don't know, made me laugh. So like I mentioned, I've been doing transmission work all week. But every time I had 5 or 10 minutes, I'd take a piece. For instance, my horn. For the 71, I would test it and then clean it and paint it. And now I got to reinstall it. This goes behind the new washer bottle that I had, so I had to go hunting for this. I forgot it was actually still in the car. So now I can install that. It has a really nice sound. I'm not a big horn blower, but if I had to blow the horn, this thing really sounds authoritative. Hey, thanks for watching. I don't know what the next video is going to be. I still need to make that list. But I definitely have to rebuild the front suspension. I'm going to rebuild the rear suspension. Even though I just put the 9-inch in it and stuff, I'll cover that when I do it. One piece at a time. I'm still dreaming up an engine. Got lots of options. I still can't commit to any particular path, but I need to eventually. I keep putting it off and just keep working on the body. It all needs to be done. The interior, the doors, windows, and interior, probably going to be a way bigger challenge than anything. I mean, it's all bolt-on stuff, but originally had a green interior, and a lot of it's still going to be green, but every interior piece that I buy, like I bought new armrests, those are black. I had bought some nice door panels and the rear sail panels used from a guy that are like perfect. He bought aftermarket ones he had to fight with to install, he said, his words. He should have kept the old ones, but I bought the old ones for like $50. I had to drive a couple hours to get them. This was 3 or 4 years ago. And originally intended for the gray car, but I have the old ones off the 71. I should just call them the 71 and the 72. 71's the burnt orange one, and the gray one, the currently gray one, is the 72. I have the old ones off the 71, and I have purchased a couple years ago a industrial sewing machine. I have all kinds of material. I'm going to teach myself to do some custom stuff, which would be fine in the 72. What's not going to be aluminum and bead rolled, I might as well do some custom work if I can teach myself how to do it. My fallback is my wife is really good at sewing, and it kind of transfers over once I get the concepts of how to do pleats and stuff like that, but that's down the road. Anyway, I've rambled enough. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.